Well, welcome to Sports Doc at the University of East London, and day two, the final day of the 2019 British Fencing Championships. I'm Karen Bashir to bring you the three gold medal matches, and first up, it's a women's foil fight between the youngster Tegan Williams-Stewart from Newham Swords on the right and Chloe Dixon of Edinburgh Fencing Club on your left. We're lucky enough to have Rob Caudron in the commentary box to give us his expert view on this fight. You've had an interesting weekend, Rob.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me up in the commentary box again, Karen. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you've been refereeing all weekend. Busy time for you?
Yeah, that's right. So I was refereeing the Sabre yesterday and today, and a little bit of Epee as well this morning.
And you're obviously no stranger to foil either. Youngster Tegan Williams-Stewart had a great semi-final fight against Kate Beardmore to come through to this, and she's fencing really well, having just returned from a Torun in Poland.
Yeah, she's out in the World Championships, fenced all three events, the junior individual and team and the cadet individual. I think she was the top British performer in the cadet individual, certainly.
Good warm-up then for this one?
Yeah,
looks like she's on good form.
She looked really strong in the final, semi-final against Kate. I thought that was a really impressive match. Like, she just looked fast, dynamic, powerful, really certain of what she was trying to do. It was really impressive maturity, like you say, from someone who's still so young.
Yeah, still a cadet, still under 17, but she's at the Senior Championships and going for gold. It's the start of the women's foil final, and it's Chloe Dixon standing in Williams-Stewart's way here. But you've got to probably say that Dixon is the favourite.
Yeah, because she's defending champion, won last year and came through in her semi-final 10-9. Very different feel of a fight compared to the Williams-Stewart-Beardmore semi-final. That one was much slower, much more patient, much more about feeling out for mistakes, creating opportunities, whereas Williams-Stewart-Beardmore was just back and forth from the first minute.
Yeah, much more physical. So brains and brawn, you could say, but clearly Williams-Stewart has both. She's prepared to take her time as well. Chloe Dixon, as I said, from Edinburgh Fencing Club. Stan Stugley is her coach, but she's got Donnie McKenzie, former British Olympic fencer, in her box. And down on the other side, another former British Olympic fencer, Pierre Harper, who coaches, or one of the coaches of Tegan Williams-Stewart. Pierre and his wife, Linda Strachan, also an Olympian, run Newham Swords.
I think it's really interesting, just that this first sort of 40 seconds or so, you can get a feel for how this fight is wanting to be played out. You've got Dixon she wants to keep the pace of the fight low. She doesn't want it to get rushy, get fast back and forth. She wants to break up Williams-Stewart's rhythms, not give her a chance to really unleash with. She's got such a fast step lunge, fast attack as Williams-Stewart. If she's got the pace and if she's got a bit of momentum behind her, it's going to be so powerful. Whereas Williams-Stewart, obviously she's trying to just raise that pace up, keep it high, keep it aggressive, stay on the front foot and pin Dixon to her back line.
Well, she did indeed pin her to the back line there, and then quite calmly, you have to say, just managed to get that hit with a nice little feint disengage as Dixon stepped in.
I think it's one thing I really like about the way the Newham fencers in general tend to fence is they've got this feeling where they want to push you down towards your end, put you under pressure in your back line, but then they let you out a little bit and you think you've got away, and then bang, that's when they take it away from you. It's exactly what Williams-Stewart did there. She pushed Dixon all the way to the back, then let her out a little bit, and then bang in with the counter-attack. It's a really nice way of fencing. I personally find that really exciting to watch, particularly when you've got someone like Williams-Stewart who's so dynamic.
So how would you, if you were coaching Dixon, how would you tell her to manage that and to prevent that from happening?
I think if I was coaching Dixon, what I'd be looking to try and do is, first off, I'd want this fight to be fenced at quite a close distance. I wouldn't want to be giving Williams-Stewart space to accelerate and ramp up with a step lunge if she was able to attack. I'd want to force her to have to finish with simple, short actions. But then also, if I'm coaching Dixon, I'm saying you want to make the piece feel as big as possible for Williams-Stewart, so you're not giving ground easily, making it so that every single step forward is a real effort for her. I think what she did there really well was she kept it a little bit close. She kept the blade in the way. You know, she gave William Stewart problems to deal with. William Stewart has to finish her attack short, and then Dixon can take over the top of it. And this is something that Dixon's doing quite well at the moment, is she's just trying to kill the pace of the fight and make the piece feel big. You know, make it feel like it's 20, 30 meters long and that it's a long slog for William Stewart to push and push and push.
But William Stewart has now got back on the back line, so
Yeah,
are we
she
going to see a
has.
bit more of this? I mean, I agree. It's Chloe Dixon has sort of prevented the onslaught from her, but now finds herself back in on the back line, having drawn level.
And this is what we sort of was talking about a minute ago. So William Stewart has pinned Dixon to the back line, and then she's looking to finish the attack if she can. But actually, where she's going to pick up a lot of her options is almost a bit second intention, is letting that attack fail and then maybe picking up the counter attack or picking up a big power riposte as Dixon tries to push out again. And that's a nice finish, just big pressure.
Dixon raising her arms there to her coach, Donnie McKenzie, looking for some answers. But at the moment, I think you've got to hit the nail on the head there. As long as Dixon stays out of her half and prevents getting pushed to her back line, she's got a much better chance in this fight.
Yeah, and I think it's just about building. It's almost a bit rugby-esque for Dixon. You know, you want to almost say, you know, go through the phases, get priority, push down the piece, maybe let that attack go, build back down to your end, get the attack push, and just make some of these points go on a little bit longer. Because if the point is shorter, it's going to play into that power and aggressive game of William Stewart. A little bit concerned by Dixon's body language at the moment, because
that was a nice hit.
She
did create that. She for me, it felt like she went to the back line first,
yeah,
and then launched a surprise attack, drew level. I agree. She doesn't look perhaps as happy as she might, but it's all level here. Now I look down to the right-hand side, and we see Pierre Harper there, the coach of Newham Swords, or one of the coaches of Newham Swords, talking to Tegan William Stewart. What do you think he's going to be saying? I
think he's going to be saying, get on the front foot, stay aggressive, but move her around, keep it dynamic. Yeah. She's been, as soon as she's been able to get on the front foot and be aggressive and really create from space, you know, accelerate with a step before a lunge, she's been creating so many problems.
Down
I think
at the other end, Donnie McKenzie's trying to counter that tactic as well.
And I think your point that you made just a second ago was is a really good one. That the last point for Dixon there, she wasn't pushed to her back line. She pulled Tegan Williams down with her, and then was able to create the timing for a bit of an ambush counter attack. And I think that's really, really going to be so important, that Dixon's going where she wants to go when she wants to go. If she's going to go to her back line because William Stewart is going to keep pushing, make sure she goes on her terms, and then there's something she can create. I think it's a very good point.
Well, it's the second period about to get underway, 4 apiece, and it's been an interesting tactical battle. You can't really say either one's taken charge, but according to Rob, we got the answers for both of them.
I think the interesting one is I want to see what happens with Dixon's body language, because, you know, it's 4-all towards the end of the first period, and already she was making gestures that sort of said, well, what do I do?
Yeah.
And it's very early days to be getting in that kind of a mindset.
Yeah, and I think a good time for a break, and it's not a bad person to have in the box either. Donnie McKenzie, who keep her calm and settled and get her refocused, and she did look like she was going to be a little bit more lively on the feet in this second period.
But what I like that William Stewart's doing is, if you think back to the first period, William Stewart was pressing in quite a conventional way, you know, step, 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 nice hit, really nice hit, absorbed all the pressure that William Stewart was putting on, but then kept the distance close.
He used a bit of body evasion, I think, as well,
yeah,
to get out of the way of the attack.
And that's what allowed her to keep it close, so that she could finish with a power riposte rather than having to parry and then build something. You know, when she keeps it close, doesn't give William Stewart the chance to accelerate like that, then she can make use of parries, make use of the counterattacks. But if William Stewart's able to accelerate, then Dixon's in real trouble. What I was saying a minute ago is, in the first period, William Stewart was pushing in quite a conventional, traditional way of sort of step, step, step. Now, if you look at her, she's sort of, there's a little bit of a skip, and it's that fake acceleration. Am I going to go? Am I going to go? Am I going to go? And it just makes it harder for Dixon to stay close because, you know, it feels like William Stewart could accelerate and attack
pressing,
it.
Yeah, but
exactly.
That was a nice hit from Dixon there.
Very
stepping
nice.
in, she tried it again there. She's waiting for that first fast step, and then she's closing the distance. So a good change of tactics from her, or good addition to her armory of hits that she's going after.
Yeah, and I think that might be the key for Dixon, is just being able to demonstrate that variety, to give William Stewart problems, being able to counterattack on the on that first step, like you say, but then also being able to draw out the faster attack, finish and take the power riposte. Being able to mix up confidently while keeping that distance tight is going to be really important for Dixon in this.
Well, it's a really intriguing battle here. It's a very good watch. The tactics, both fencers are slightly countering each other out in the first period, but now it looks like Dixon's got a couple of answers for William Stewart. The question is, at 16 years old, can William Stewart adapt to what Dixon's doing?
Yeah, and I think the last few exchanges, so we've had no points, it's all been off target, but you've seen an attempted counterattack from Dixon that ended up in a close quarters. Then you've seen an attempted power riposte, and then you've seen an attempted counterattack. So she's almost swapping every time what she's looking for, whether she's going to try and close the distance on the step, or whether she's going to try and take the parry and deal with it. Like you say, like the way that William Stewart is fencing is so much about how well she's able to execute her attack. Yeah. And so there's a huge amount of pressure being put on her concentration and her ability to maintain the quality of her technique, which is a real big ask for such a young fencer.
Well, change of weapon there for Tegan Stewart.
Nice, really nice.
Really good parry riposte to get herself back within one. Chris Lennon is the referee here.
That's really good fencing from William Stewart. She's identified that Dixon's now looking to interrupt on that fast step. So as she takes that fast step in, she can draw the counter-attack and take the power riposte. So that's a really good, impressive answer to Dixon, like you say, broadening her own repertoire.
This time Dixon stepping in to take the blade. Again, something a little different.
Nice, very nice, very nice. So 2 times now Dixon's gone for looking for counterattacks. 2 times she's tried to interrupt early. So it's a good gamble from William Stewart. She anticipates that Dixon's going to be looking for a parry this time. So she's able to go, feint disengage and score direct. It's a really intelligent fencing from William Stewart on our right.
The 17-year-old is well back in this match for gold at the 2019 British Championships.
Slightly strange period of play at the moment. Nice counter-attack though. You know, for almost all of this fight, we've been down the Dixon end of the piece, and then all of a sudden, William Stewart just dropped straight into her half of the piece, and it looked like it really threw Dixon, that she suddenly found herself on the front foot without really knowing why or intending to be there. William Stewart nicely able to capitalize on that mistake, and now she's back to pressing again. Can see uncertainty from Dixon. I really think that the counter time power riposte, the William Stewart's fifth point, where she drew the counterattack, parried and scored, I think that will have rattled Dixon, because she's not able to now mix up confidently between the counterattack and between the power riposte. She can't just do it with impunity. She has to be worried about the counter time as well. I think that's really going to be a big problem now for Dixon to answer. Beautiful hit.
Well, the Scot was the champion last year. She went on to get 2 gold medals at the Commonwealth Championships, individual and team, with Scotland. This season, Tegan Stewart, though, has had an equally impressive season. A lovely feint disengaged lunge there. Step lunge, in fact, it was, going around the cart parry of the left-handed Dixon.
So for the last few hits, what I think has been good hit from Dixon. But what I think William Stewart's been doing really well is anticipating and predicting what Dixon's going to be looking to do, whether she's going to be looking to counterattack, whether she's going to be looking to parry riposte, and she's got an answer for both of them. That's really effective. I think there's a huge question now around what is Dixon going to be doing to get some control back in this fight. I think there's nothing wrong with her answer of parries and attacks, and parry riposte, sorry, but I think she's got to look to exert a bit more pieced pressure on William Stewart.
Yeah, and you can see Donnie McKenzie there chatting with Chloe Dixon there. He's a pat on the arm of encouragement there.
I think if you just look at Donnie McKenzie in the first period and the first break, Donnie was really animated with lots of technical feedback. You know, you could see his hand was whirring all over the place. It was like he was, you know, miming it for her. Now, it looks a little bit more like he's trying to be supportive and build her up, rather than actually give her specific technical answers. This looks more about, come on, 7-9, you're in this, believe in yourself, have a plan and commit.
Yeah, but a 9-7 up, I mean, it's not necessarily an easier job for Pierre Harper down the other end, but you'd much rather be in that position.
I think from Pierre Harper's point of view, what he'll be really impressed with is how William Stewart identified that counter-attack of Dixon's and then very, very quickly just snuffed it out.
Well, here we go. It's the third period of the women's foil gold medal match at the 2019 British Championships. Chris Lennon, our referee, is just asked Tegan Williams Stewart just to tie her hair up. And we are back underway for gold. The 16-year-old on the right, just 6 points away.
Nice action, nice action. And even though it's an attack with a step lunge, the distance is really tight. So Dixon's really, for me, really Dixon's scoring with a riposte there. You know, she's taking the parry and then it's just fast acceleration over the top to score. I like it. I think Dixon always has more of a chance when it's up close. You know, within or about William Stewart's lunge distance. Anything further than that, and I tend to feel that Dixon tends to get in trouble. She's not really able to affect the pressing game of William Stewart.
They just got a bit of a random white light on the side of Tegan Stewart there as she was trotting backwards. It seems that all the equipment is working. So back underway.
So this is a good distance. Good distance for Dixon. They kept it really tight. Forced the counter-attack. Bang, bang. Big parry.
Yeah, it's now Dixon who's applying the pressure. She's gone for a different option here by the looks of things. Got herself back level. Again, we see her skipping around, playing with the distance, but this time looking again like she's trying to draw Tegan Williams Stewart in, and that time just didn't quite pick up the timing. I think she thought that was hers.
I think the thing is the right idea from Dixon in that you could see her, she was going back, like you said, she's doing a lot with the distance, really active on her feet, really active in terms of changing it up, asking questions. But then as soon as she got the priority back, there wasn't that same intensity. You know, it was a slower step, much more casual. It looked like she was expecting to be able to push, and then boom, William Stewart just shut the door.
Still on a knife edge, though.
Here we are, so it's active, active, active. I want to see that same intensity now if Dixon gets the priority back.
That was close. Referee had already called halt before the remise came through. Even though they hadn't quite passed each other, I think Chris Lennon felt both fencers couldn't wield their weapons safely.
So this needs to be now intense from Dixon. Much, much better.
Parry riposte, though. She went in for the blade there, but referee's given that as a parry riposte to Tegan Williams Stewart, and she goes back to 2 points in the lead. Starting to get to a crucial time, Rob, isn't it? Where having that 2 point lead, now 3 point lead, is really, really important.
But you see there, so go back to your point about Dixon pulling into her half of the piece. That wasn't it. You know, Dixon was just dropping, being pushed. Every step that William Stewart took, Dixon matched it with a step back. So as soon as William Stewart accelerates, she is literally one step ahead.
Getting a bit scrappy in the middle. The referee hadn't called halt that time, and it was the slightly older fencer, 23-year-old
Good
Dixon.
presser, good press, but she doesn't need to finish those attacks. She just needs to press, keep the distance close. That's where she wants to be. That's good. But she's got to stay up. She's got to keep good intensity now. Dixon's looking tired. You know, yellow card for forcing Korakor. Didn't look like she wanted to get into that fight. Nice hit. Close distance. Drop William Stewart short. Go over the top. If Dixon's able to get on the front foot and push a bit more, keep the distance tighter, I think she's really back in this. But it's physically, it's going to be a really demanding task for her, and she's looking tired.
Well, she's fighting to defend her title here, Chloe Dixon. Still the attack from Dixon, but Chris Lennon has given us attack on preparation.
I'll be honest, I agree with you. I felt that William Stewart stopped and then Dixon started slowly over the top.
No video appeal here, though, and that could be critical.
But up the work rate, up the work rate. Dixon needs to be absolutely certain. Is she going to try and pull William Stewart back, or is she going to press forward? Just looking not completely clear what she's trying to do. That was a nicer action. Much more committed, much more precise what she's actually trying to get from this point. Nice hit, attack from the right. It's my Sabre hat coming out. I see that as attack on preparation from the right all day long.
Well, that's what's been given. Chloe Dixon not happy with that. I think she felt that she'd started, and although she was going a little bit slower, she felt that she maintained the right of way. Chris Lennon is a top-class referee, and he's given that as attack into preparation. And Tegan Williams-Stewart one away from becoming the British champion. Dixon still in this and still fighting.
Nice hit, attack from the right.
And it has been given. The gold medal goes to the 16-year-old from Newham Swords, Tegan Williams-Stewart. She's fenced really well all day. A little bit of a question mark over the last hit again from Chloe Dixon, but 15-11 is a great scoreline for a first-year cadet.
That's a big result for Tegan Williams-Stewart. I'm impressed with the maturity. For me, that's the really big thing, is in that middle part of the second period, when Dixon brought in that counter-attack, brought in the something else for William Stewart to worry about, it took maybe 2 looks at it before William Stewart suddenly had the answer, and then bang, bang, she's able to take the parry. And I don't really feel like from that moment on, Dixon had anything that she felt she could get back into the fight with. And it was then just William Stewart just keeping the pressure on, keeping the level high. I said earlier that I felt that there was a lot of pressure on William Stewart's technique, not to break down, not to fail. But she kept it really good, really sharp, and just pushed through.
Well, there we have it. Tegan Williams-Stewart is the British champion of 2019. And thank you very much to Rob Caudron for his expert analysis. Right, don't go far. We're going to take a very short break just to wait for the athletes to get ready for the men's Epee gold medal match, which is coming up very soon. We'll be back as soon as the athletes come out. Well, here we go. It's time for the men's epee gold medal match between James Fruin on your right and Philip Marsh on your left. And we're lucky enough to have yesterday's silver medalist from the women's epee tournament, Mary Cohen, up to give her expert analysis on the fight. Mary, you've been up to you were fencing yesterday and then working today, right?
Yes, I might have to go do some work later if they get injured.
Mary's been the doctor on duty today here at these championships, giving a bit of your time to the sport.
Yeah,
after
absolutely.
Taking a medal from everybody yesterday.
Yeah, time to give something back.
Your sixth championship.
Do you know?
gold
I was
medal
thinking
match.
about it. I think one of them was a semi, so I think that was my fifth.
So
Yeah.
apologies to everyone who I said was sixth. It was Mary's fault. Because
It was
she's the
my
one that
fault.
told me. But,
I can't
Mary, what do you make
remember.
of this one though? Let's get back to these fences here.
Yeah.
It's two big names in British men's epee. Both
Yeah.
have competed internationally.
Yes.
Quite a matchup.
Yeah, brilliant. And you've got, although they can both do both, James is classically very attacking. Fruin on the right. He's got a brilliant flash to him, wonderful movement, and then Phil Marsh on the left is he's a counter-attacker, but he's got a lovely attack as well. So yeah, we'll see.
This for gold. Adrian Speakman, our referee, gets us underway, and two lefties. Now, I know that's obvious. Everyone can see the two left-handers, but it does make sometimes for an interesting fight when you get two left-handers, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Slightly less used to it, and that was a role reversal from what I just described. A counter-attack from James.
Well, of course, commentators curse, Mary. Come on, it's not the first time you've done this.
Yeah.
There you go. As you
there we
said,
go.
nice
There
to
we
take
go.
control of the blade before coming in. Lytton and large as well. I mean,
Yeah, so that's what, and
rich
especially with the
difference.
pommel grip on the left that Marsh is using to do an attack. James will want to take the blade if possible, or at least distract it. Quite a bend on Phil's blade.
When Phil Marsh was a cadet, he won the Junior World Championship,
Yes.
so it's a really impressive performance as well.
Been,
A
yeah.
bit of a thinker on the piece.
He's always been, I mean, I don't know him well, but he's always been very mature and consistent, and that was what I remember people sort of saying when he was a cadet and junior, that he seemed like an older person. Didn't let the fact that he was in the final affect him mentally. So he's very stable mentally from what I've heard.
Yeah, well, he's facing down at 4-point deficits, but he's cut that down to just 3, and that was a nice little attack to the arm as well.
Yes, but that time he had to go in, out, and then in again. I don't think he's going to be able to. He's going to need to really move his feet in this match.
Fruin fences at Brixton Fencing Club under Pavel Rines. This season he got third at the Elite Epee in Millfield. Phil Marsh has moved to Milan.
I could see from his coach.
Diego Confalinieri is his coach at Milano Scherma, the fencing club in Milan. And he's been competing on the senior international circuit. Got a 64 at the big one in Heidenheim, and also a 64 at the World Cup in Buenos Aires.
It's a really nice mixture of attacking and defence from James Fruin here. But yes, Phil has been getting top 64s at senior level consistently since he started on the senior circuit. And that is no mean feat in men's epee, where there's so many countries that participate and just a huge field at every World Cup.
I've seen a couple of times the International World Cup field in the men's competition tipping over 300 athletes.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It really is tough physically as well as in every other way.
Well, he's got his hands full here, but he's staying in touch. And in epee, a 1-2 point lead is a big thing towards the end. So really, Marsh has to start chipping away at this. Maybe not.
Chipping
in this
is very
period.
much what he was doing then, wasn't it? A small attack, another small attack on James's bounces in, from what I could see, just not relenting. There we go. But James is gonna struggle to attack someone who's so good at counter-attacks.
Yeah, needs to close the distance a little bit more than that, as he was
Yeah.
doing earlier on before
Yes.
launching the
And
end
he,
of
and
the
he,
attack.
when he really secured the blade first as well.
Yeah. Just
Pulled it back, didn't he?
He started and then
Yeah.
stopped and then went, got in two minds. Escaped
Yeah.
with a double.
Still,
you have to
still
say.
managed to get the double. And Phil looks more comfortable now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're coming to me.
A bit more relaxed. Perhaps it looks a bit like Fruins also decided, I've got a 3-point lead, I can perhaps sit back a bit, and that's sometimes dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah, if it's not your game. Yeah. It looks to me, just watching this, like Phil's got a deceptive lunge that's longer than James quite thought it was going to be. On that was, from what I can see, a direct lunge. And I think it just comes that little bit further with the pommel.
It's a nice little trick to have as a fencer, a deceptively long lunge, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you think you've skipped out of the way and then you still get hit. It's, well...
And at Epee, you can, and Phil does this, you can drop down to the knee last minute. That was great, appropriate taking of the blade at shorter distance. I don't think we've seen him drop to leg on his lunges, but he's good at it.
Of course, because the whole body's target, you can throw in those little sneaky hits to the low line.
Oh, got in just first.
Looks like he came away with a little bit of a knock that time.
Shall I go down?
But I was going to say, just warming up your stethoscope there.
Not sure I'm going to stethoscope that.
Yeah,
region.
let's move on from that, shall we?
Sometimes it just needs a few seconds, doesn't it? It's just painful.
Yes. I can say very affirmatively, yes. It does take a few seconds. You do need to take a deep breath, maybe two. Seems all right, though. And I was just about to say, I keep forgetting you were in this final, but it's just like yesterday's final. It's high scoring and quite intense right from the beginning. Yesterday, your final was, you really both went at each other at the beginning.
Yes,
It was quite interesting.
And you could sort of wonder whether this is due to the new passivity rule, that the person who's behind really wants to put the pressure on because they're watching the clock. It doesn't look like it's that way round here. And actually, I think my fight yesterday would have been like that, whatever happened, from just the kind of fencers we are. But perhaps there is going to be a change in Epee.
And you say that because?
Well, because of the new passivity rules. If you're down, you will get a yellow card and then a red card if you do not hit within a minute.
Yeah.
If there is no hit.
It's essentially that's the idea is to try and drive the athletes to go and hitting each other, and that so far we haven't actually seen too much of a difference, I don't think. But
oh, really?
It's not going to be too much longer before you Epees work out how to utilise the change in rule.
And I don't think people quite are there yet. I mean, it was only December they even decided on it.
Yeah.
So it's a very new thing in Epee.
But it does favour if the fencer who's more aggressive and not a reactive fencer, if they're trying to develop a hit, if they get a lead, it really is a disadvantage to someone who likes to work off their opponent. So it kind of, if you like, is a bit of a disadvantage to a significant proportion of Epees out there. And in a way, in the long term, the rule's going to change the way Epees fenced at international level. It's going to become effectively much more aggressive.
And actually, both these men have good attacks and good defence, don't they? So we've got two people very capable of playing either side of that rule.
But Phil Marsh does have to be a little bit more proactive, and you can bet your bottom dollar Adrian Speakman, the referee, is going to be hot on the new passivity rule.
They have to keep remembering the seconds, don't they? Because we don't have a separate clock.
Yep.
So it looks to me like he's trying to close distance, take the blade, pretty just outspeed him, and then hope for at least doubles. Oh,
Okay, It's a sneaky counter though
Yep.
on the way in.
Yeah, so very open mind, isn't it, to looking aggressive, but absolutely ready to go back with that Scott Pitt.
Yeah, absolutely. But Fruin is one away from the 2019 title here. Phil Marsh staring down the barrel of the gun. Very lively on his feet still.
Yeah, and it's risky to do those straight attacks.
But he's done it. He's gone straight for it. Marsh stuck out his arm and got a double, but it's not enough. James Fruin is the British men's epee champion of 2019.
Very well deserved.
Mary, that was a really good fight.
It was great, wasn't it? You're grinning. You never have that.
For that. This was a great fight.
Well, you're welcome. Welcome to Epee.
Yeah, it was two fabulous finals for everyone to watch.
Yeah, no, really good fencing from both of them. Some really nice hits, both sides. And yeah, anyone who's listening to this who's thinking about trying Epee, give it a go.
It's coming from last year's champion, yesterday's silver medalist Mary Kane. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Well, don't go too far. Scheduled for a 16:40 start for the last gold medal match in men's sabre. So don't go far. We'll be back for that. Well, welcome back to Sports Doc at the University of East London, and it's the last gold medal match of the 2019 British Fencing Championships. And what a way to go out. It's men's sabre time. On your left is Jonathan Webb, JJ, as he's known on the circuit, the 23-year-old from Camden Fencing Club, fences under Ian Williams. And on the right is 21-year-old Will Deary from Truro Fencing Club. His coach is right next to me, John Southfield. Welcome to the commentary box for the first time of these British Championships. But to see us out, obviously, you know Will very well, but you know JJ as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I work with these guys as part of the GB team rather than as part of the club teams. I've coached Will from when he was a very young guy, 9-10 years old. So yeah, know him obviously inside out. JJ I've been working with the last couple of years as part of the GB squad. Ian's his personal coach.
Well, they're both fighting off for gold here. Mike Selig is our referee. It's first blood to Will Deary. John, I've noticed Will has bulked up a little bit over the last 12 months.
Yeah, he's a bit of a beast now physically.
Yeah, he's gone for that, hasn't he? We're not saying he's got fat. he's put some muscle on for his game.
Absolutely, yeah. He's got a really good S&C coach at King's, where he's at University in London, King's College. And we've been working a lot on his strength and power, and he's always been quite an explosive fencer, but we thought it was something that we could explore even more at the highest level, and it's starting to pay dividends now. I think we'll start to see the benefits of that over the next season.
So you kind of put the build on him because of his style of fencing already. You don't have to adapt his style now. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, it's something he can make the most of himself. He's got a long, powerful lunge. He's very explosive. He's got very good speed on the end of his long attack. So, why not exploit that to the fullest extent?
Yeah, well, he's certainly showing that the extra power that he has isn't hindering him anyway, but it's 3-3 at the start of this match. Pretty much everything staying in the middle is going 50-50, half one way, half the other.
Yeah, and both these guys have a strong attack. I would say maybe Deary's got a slightly higher percentage on the long attack than JJ. JJ maybe pulls out a few more blade actions in the middle of the piece. So it's going to be a tight one.
Oh, well, that's nice from Deary.
Absolutely, yeah. He fell short with the attack. It was good control of distance by JJ at the beginning. Then he did a quick riposte, but Will parried that and just immediately flunged off that. And just showing his ability to power off the ground there.
Yeah, and reaction speed and the training that he's done to produce an instinctive parry riposte.
It's been good to see JJ back on form today. He had a few niggly injuries over the last few months. He's not been able to train 100%, and only the last few weeks has he really been 100% on it in training, and good to see him back close to his best.
Well, there was a big worry at the start of the day as well, because he went in to see the doctor, Mary Cohen, who was yesterday's silver medalist, and he was suffering from what looked like sort of feeling dizzy and a little bit faint. Clearly he's recovered from that, because that was literally straight after the first round.
Yeah, I didn't actually hear about that, to be honest. First I've heard of that, so I'm glad to see that it hadn't affected the rest of his competition.
No, he bounced back. I think they definitely put some fluids in him. I think it was a bit of a sugar crash, perhaps.
It's been just a little bit of battle for priority. There's not been a lot of change of preparation. They've both been looking to just get ahead, either go in, out and take over, or to set the preparation up so they can, there you go, set the preparation up, stop, and then take over the attack from Deary.
Well, in Epee it's so fast we don't have a clock counting down.
Sabre, carrying Sabre.
Did I say Epee?
Yeah, it's a long day, isn't it?
Just testing you. And so we don't have a clock counting down. As when the first fencer gets to 8 points, they take a 1 minute break. And it's your fencer Will Deary here who's doing really well, just broken out a little bit towards the end of the fight.
Yeah, he just started to find his distance a little bit better, and I think JJ needs to just close him down in the middle a bit more before he goes out, because Deary's got that big, powerful step lunge. So if JJ leaves the middle of the piece too early, Deary can still see his intention and still reach him with the big step lunge. But if JJ closes him down and forces him to make an earlier decision, maybe he hasn't got that space to accelerate into. And it's sort of counterintuitive. To make him miss, you need to get a bit closer to force an earlier decision, so he hasn't got time to set himself up for the big finish. So we'll see if Ian's been giving him that advice, he might be able to turn this around. But Balash Kurutz, who's the assistant head coach down in Truro, is working on the piece with Will today, and I'm sure he's had some words of wisdom as well.
Yeah, don't change too much though. I think is probably the order of the day for him. But be adaptive if JJ does change. And Mike Selig is about to get us underway. John, 8-4 is not an insurmountable deficit, is it?
Not in Sabre. I mean, you can string 3 hits together super fast in Sabre. It's, you know, I'm not saying it's easy to do, but if you just get tactically a little bit ahead, and there you see what happened there. JJ just came in a bit deeper, then opened more distance to make that big lunge finish. I think that's a good call from Mike Selig. Will went for the beat, but it was a bit too low on the blade, which meant that it turned into a parry. If you hit into the bottom third of the blade, it's a parry, and I think that's what happened in that action.
There was a bellow from Will, wasn't there? But as you eloquently described how Mike Selig gave the hit, it's very clear to everyone when they watch back where that blade went.
Yeah, and I think again that one was a correct call. Will took the initiative in the middle. JJ just waited a bit too long, and then counterattacked. He gained a small amount of time. He was slightly ahead of the hit, but by the time he reacted, it was a counterattack.
Yeah, JJ there on the left has just taken a little knock, I think. Blade flicking over the mask,
Yeah,
I
I
think.
think so, yeah. I think it whipped around and just caught the back of the head.
Completely accidental, of course. It does happen in Sabre, but he's back underway here.
There's that big lunge we talked about earlier. Very powerful. Will was fencing in the team nationals back in March for Truro, the Truro A team. And I saw in the last 4 match, he went right to the back of the piece, went into the splits, parried his opponent in the splits, jumped out of the splits, flunged and hit him with a riposte. Much like a Gubon Gill Korean-style hit.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, if he can mimic Gubon Gill, then
Oh, that's a
the
beautiful
world
hit.
title is at his hands, isn't it?
Ooh. Sorry, but much as I would like Will to take that hit, I think it was a poor call there. I think it was a line from JJ. Will look for the line. JJ disengaged. I think just a little mistake from the ref there. It's a tough job, you know, the Sabre refereeing business.
Yeah, and it's not often that you see Ian Williams approaching the referee. It's clear, I think, to everybody here. There was an audible sigh from the crowd. That you probably didn't hear that over John Southfield's.
I mean, to be fair, Will's, you know, the Truro fencer, and I'm Truro head coach, but also as the GB coach, I would want JJ to get that excellent technical hit there.
Yeah. Well,
but you know, there's 17 hits. If the ref makes one mistake, I always say, you know, you lose 15-14, the ref made a mistake, well, you still made 14 mistakes.
Yes, that's very true.
Clever change of preparation from Deary there, going in and out twice, drawing his opponent's attack. Deary finishes it, and now the lead is looking quite commanding. It's going to be tough for JJ to come back here.
Did he have to adapt then? Because it looked like he was trying to do something off the blade. In the end, he just finished with an attack underneath.
Yeah, so JJ put out the line. He took the blade, and I think he was going to go for a chest attack. Realised JJ was trying to set up a parry post, and just waited a bit longer. That time parry post left. Deary committed a bit earlier than he has previously.
Mini challenge though. Certainly questioned the referee, Deary.
A lot of those hits now, especially the second parry, the low parries, sometimes they've been given as mal parries at international level, and unless you get a really clean blade contact. So maybe that's what he was asking for. Still has that 6-hit cushion from, he was 12-6, he's been maintaining it hit for hit. First one just, I think that was right.
Almost like a little hesitation there from JJ.
I think it's one of those hits where he would have missed, but JJ was almost too keen to get the riposte on, you know, and he came back in just before the action missed.
Ian Williams not happy with that at all, that call, but not being a Sabre expert myself, it still felt like Will Deary's hit.
Just, yeah, as I said, I think if JJ had just been a millisecond more patient, he would have actually capitalised on that.
Well, Deary 1 away from becoming the 2019 Men's Sabre British champion. JJ Webb on the left, staring down the barrel of a gun here at 14-7 down.
Deary only 21 years old. This would be his first national title if he wins it as a senior. He's won them at under 20, under 17, under 14 and under 12, I think. I remember when he won his first national title as under 11 England champion. And I gave him to Chris Bucks and said, this guy's the worst fencer ever to win a national championship. He's never going to be any good. And Chris coached him for a while and made him very good. And I was completely wrong.
Oh, it's a nice one to be wrong about. competing for Great Britain.
And there it is.
He's now the 2019 British champion. Will Deary was commanding there. A couple of questionable calls from the referee as far as JJ Webb was concerned, but 15-8, that's a healthy win. Will Deary is the British champion. John, your summary of that fight, it was a good one and impressive performance by your Truro fencer.
Yeah, it was a good match. I think Will just came out a little bit stronger at the end of the second half, the end of the first half, beginning of the second half. He had found his rhythm and distance in the middle, and he's been doing that all day. He's been imperious today. No one's really got close to him. I think he had 9 from Curtis Miller in the previous round, but he just looked very clinical. He clearly came here to win. I think JJ was just physically just a little bit outgunned there, and maybe a couple more weeks of full training, and that would be a closer match. But it's good to see we had our team of 4, the GB team, in the top 4, battling it out for the title. That was really good to see. Some very high quality, really world-class fencing.
Well, brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, John Southfield, for your expert opinion. And thank you to all of you for joining us. That is the conclusion of the coverage of the 2019 British Championships. Thanks for being here.